Hello and welcome to Inside News with Mike Jones and Dale Matthews. I'm Dale Matthews, and here's Mike Jones. Hello, Mike. Is that you?
Hey, Dale. How's it going?
Good. So, a couple different things happened today that I thought were kind of interesting. One little piece of news is that Jim Goodwin works for the county, and he serves on the city council. He surprised everybody on Wednesday night by announcing that he's leaving office.
Mm-hmm.
That will be effective June 1st. He said that he has more job and personal obligations than he can spend at the city council meetings. No more Jim Goodwin.
Yeah,
Jim Goodwin,
sense.
you may recall, was the guy that was at the Lipsick meeting, who is one of the people that said that we are in an emergency situation with that's weird.
Yeah,
Well,
he probably actually would also like to have more funding for the juvenile justice program in which he works, I believe.
I believe that to be the case.
Yeah.
I'd just let you know a little side note here, Mike. I'm getting strange buttons and stuff that are appearing on my screen, and I'm just going to ignore them at the moment.
Oh, okay. Does any of them say like detonate or
No, one of them says live, and the other says post publicly.
Oh,
Of
okay.
course, but it's never said that before. Okay.
Yeah, go figure.
Another thing that you folks probably know, but David Holmes, who is the superintendent of the Three River School District, which is a big school district, this guy makes a lot of money. Okay, he makes up to twice as much money as a county commissioner. He's head of the school district. He is leaving the Three River School District, and they've got an interim person that's going to be filling in. And to me, it's interesting that the assistant over there is Kate Dwyer, and a number of you will remember Kate Dwyer and who she is. And
she's a lovely person.
Yeah, just lovely. Yes, that's right. Speaking of lovely people, here's another one for you. This appeared in today's Daily Courier. It's a big ad for Keith Eck, real big, and it says, "My goals: to honor God in all that I do and say, to treat people." Now.
Wow.
To honor God, hey, stand back. There's going to be a lightning bolt. Okay. To treat people with dignity and respect.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is fantastic.
To continue to address with confidence the many difficult issues facing our county.
Ah.
To remember that I am not a shill for any individual, political party, implied comma, or community organization.
Now, wait a minute. He has to write a note to himself to remember that he's not a shill. Apparently, because that's one of his goals, is to remember that. He should write it on, the back of his hand or something.
To work hard to increase the involvement of citizens.
Ah, yes, I can see.
To vote and become involved in our county's affairs.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Because he's treated us so well so far. Those who are involved, well, those are just you. Yes, but we're the only ones that are showing up. And there used to just be one of us, and now there's like 12 of us. And then finally, to support that which makes any society a success. A strong and innovative business community tempered with compassion that sees individuals not as specimens, but as fellow humans of worth and value.
Wow. Yeah, I'm pretty shocked by that because, if he's honoring God in all that he does and says, then I mean, God apparently is
Whoa.
a big fan of blasting people. Apparently,
Yeah. What was it he called me? A lying maggot? Because I had quoted from the videotape what he had said, and I was a liar for that. To treat people with dignity and respect. Just Wednesday, he said a big whopper. Big whopper. And he did that during his protected time. And when I said, of course I spoke up. You're not supposed to. I know that. But when I spoke up, he said, oh, well, I didn't interrupt you. And so now you're going to interrupt me. Well, yeah, he's lying to you. He's using his position. He's using his his protected time to blast somebody. And it was, well, blasphemous in one way, as it was certainly absolutely completely a lie. Did you know that I'm rated 4.0? What the heck does that mean? It's nonsense. You might as well say I'm a 2x4.
All right.
So I don't know what that means. You're rated 4.0. It's ridiculous. You just said this. I didn't say it. No, you said this and this and that. I didn't. It was seconds ahead of, well, whatever. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. So
we were, moving right along with the commissioners on KAJO. That seems like a couple of weeks ago now at this point. Maybe it's only a week and a half. Maybe it's only a week. Heck, I don't know. Time flies when you're having fun. Yes. Heck yeah. And so we're going to take up where we left off, which is actually only 7 minutes and 44 seconds into this program. So we're all going to be surprised because I haven't previewed where we're at or anything like that. I'm just going to push play, and then we're going to start hearing stuff. And what you should remember is that this was the day, or this was the day of the budget committee hearing.
Right. An important day.
Yeah.
That this was the one. Oh, I know the lead up to this. I haven't heard the rest of it either. I haven't heard it at all. But Mike said, "Oh, this is great stuff." This was following. There was a budget meeting where they said, "Well, we're going to decide at the next meeting," which was on this day following this radio show. Right. And they and Simon Harris said, well, we're going to decide what's going to happen to that money that came in that's not been allocated to the roads fund, and then we're going to decide what to do with that. And then this was the one we're leading into this where Cheryl revealed that it had been allocated to the roads fund. That's it. That part's over.
Right.
So much for doing it at the meeting.
So a lot of this was a preview of what they were going to do. And so let's just start playing it and see what happens.
Okay.
Difficulty, I believe, is that there's been such a firestorm of discontent and dissatisfaction toward government, not just county government, but towards government.
No, just to you.
Humbug is pretty strong. And they know that there's money there. They know if we would just allocate it in a better way, everything would be fine. And the problem is that there's no money there.
That's wrong.
We're not fine. But we also have to take a step back and realize that other than the public safety part of the county, which is a very important, integral part of the county. I'm not trying to.
It's an emergency, yes.
That. But the county, all the other offices, we can continue. I mean, there is a solid planning. There is a good source of approach towards.
Stop. Okay, now look, if it's true that the other departments are doing okay, then why in heaven's name don't you take 5%, 10%, 5%, 1% off of those departments and put them over to public safety so it's less of a daily emergency, right? If they're all doing okay, what's the matter with you?
You know what? I mean, I guess you really have to, on occasion, revisit why we allow ourselves to be manipulated in this way, where they have I mean, it's our government that puts these restrictions on the way we spend money. See, the thing is, if we could shuffle all the cards around the way we want to, the funding wouldn't be a problem, because we just say, you know what, we think it's a lot more important to have a Department of Public Safety than it is to have this Department of making sure kids know how to tie their shoes. I mean,
it should come first. Shouldn't it be first?
Of course. And so why we're not allowed to move that? I mean, this is the question that you have to ask yourself. The system is designed to create just such an emergency as this. If the system wasn't designed that way and we were able to allocate funds as we saw fit to do, we wouldn't be having this kind of problem all the time.
Now they would say, but that's because where did $135,000, just one example, come from to do water testing? That just came out of nowhere and went back to nowhere.
Right.
So it's false. Yes, they could do this. And no, you can't take a department that's totally funded by grants. I don't know which department that would be. Let's suppose an imaginary department. The Department of Redundancy Department is funded that way, okay? Then you couldn't touch that. But none of them are, as far as I know. And if there's any, there'd be like one. And so you would, in an emergency, you would see that the money goes over there. It's not an emergency. This is the bill of goods they tried to sell you. It's simply not true. So they say there's money and there's no money. That's BS big time, buddy.
Yeah. I remember down in California before I came up here, this is what they would do. I mean, every few years they would hit us with, a levy for police and fire and all that kind of stuff. And they, of course, would come out with these stories where, there's not going to be enough resources to respond to fires. The killers are going to come and murder you and nobody's going to be able to stop it. And, all of these things. And so I think that all governments, all over the country do this, where they short
try to scare you.
Department. Yeah. Nobody ever runs a levy, to fund pencil pushers in an office downtown. No. They always seem to have plenty of money for that. So what it is that you have a public safety levy, you have, and in some places that's combined with fire and whatever. And so then what happens is they short that. And so you feel threatened and you want to, throw a few more bucks that way. And then as soon as they get those bucks in those departments, then they short the money that they would normally be funneling into that department and pull back the extra money to pay for whatever it is that they want to in other places. This is how it's done. You shuffle the money and, that's how government gets more money, because you would never give them more money to fund, office workers. Nobody. Well,
you just heard him say this. Okay, there's like 15 departments. I think there's maybe 17, but it's 15 departments, and one of them, which I think is very important to me personally, is public safety. Well, 14 out of the 15 are doing okay, and one of them is sweating bullets, or don't have any bullets to sweat, or whatever the analogy would be. Now, wait a minute. Even if you knew nothing else, we don't know that they're liars and cheaters. We don't know their history. We have not seen any videotape. We just hear 14 are doing okay and one is not doing okay. What would you do? If you had 15 kids and 14 of them are eating well and one of them is starving, what would you do? You would take just a little bit from the 14 and you would give it to the 15th. What the heck are they doing?
Yeah, absolutely. But then this other thing where you're not allowed to spend certain money certain ways, how far down that road do you have to get before you start going, well, wait a minute, why are we allowing these people to tell us, you must remain in a constant state of emergency because we won't allow you to shuffle your books around.
Well, now, I agree with you, Mike, but that's not the situation. That is a very important thing that you said, but it's not the situation because we know. And Keith Eckes, well, they keep saying, well, who is they? Well, it's Mike and I and some of you. They keep saying we've got money that we're not spending. You do, and we've pointed it out again and again and again and again and again. And again,
yes,
and they keep saying we don't have it.
That's true, but we would be in even much better shape if
You're right.
we were able to move things around as we saw fit to run our county. Why isn't it that way?
I'll tell you why. Because Providence is looking over us. I'll tell you why. It's a gift. Because if they could spend money any way they wanted to, brother, you know they would.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but the problem is listen, it would be fine if they could spend money however they want to if there was total transparency.
That's right.
Listen, they're spending plenty of money in the dark right now.
They are.
If we really knew what they were all spending money on, and listen, even the stuff we do know that they waste money on, they shoot money out of a fire hose on.
Want an example?
Really sure.
How many full-time family wage jobs for putting a plaque on a rock?
Yeah, that's dumb.
90.
Yeah, that's that's
just stupid.
Yeah, they're throwing the economic development money away, and they don't want to use it for. Listen, that's a source of funds that if they wanted to, if the circumstances were bad enough, they could certainly use it for
public safety.
Enforcement. Yes.
Worse than emergency where you have to call the governor.
Yeah, apparently Jackson County does this already.
So that's ridiculous. Okay. So you may have noticed that Mike's voice is sometimes not in sync with his lips. That's because he's been watching so much Japanese anime. You want to go ahead and continue there, Mike?
Sure. Here we go.
I was mentioning Parks does not get any general fund money. Fairgrounds does not get any general fund money. Public Works does not get any general fund money. So there is tremendous progress that has been made, but that is this difficulty. We have to find a way.
Well, you may well have been talking about the Title I money. That Title I money is not general fund money. He says they don't get general fund money. They do get money from the county in one form or another.
Yes, they do
get other funds besides what they're able to earn on their own.
They're constantly getting money from the government, from us. As a matter of fact, you could say the library is completely on its own. No, it's not. I'm sitting back there, and they're always giving them more money. Well, 20,000, 50,000. It's false. It's simply false. Now, they may think 20,000 is nothing, 50,000 is nothing. That's not nothing, buddy. And they're doing it on a constant basis. It's constant. No, it's not the $300,000 that we gave to the library several years ago. They said, if you do this once, you'll never have to do it again. Because then they came right back and said, do it again, do it again, do it again, more and more and more. So it's not true. It's simply not true. And how do you feel about the fact that they're lying to you about that? Well, it's just a little lie. It's only $50,000. Okay. It's a lie.
Yeah. Anyway.
Keep repeating the lies, Keith. Go ahead.
Fund the public safety department or the system of public safety, and that's the difficulty. And it's sometimes you're talking to yourself.
You are.
The wind, and there's not an easy one-shot answer, and that's probably the biggest disappointment to see whether you're on one side or the other. That's all that. If you'll just do this, everything will be solved. It will not be solved. It will be solved for 12 months.
Yeah, but you know what? If you did this, and combined it with that over there, then you actually have something. If they refuse to do that, if you can't give them the one-shot answer, then they're not interested in it. And there is only one-shot answer. There's only one-shot answer to these people. and that is more money that that comes. Listen, it wouldn't be enough for them to
It will
get.
never be enough.
Yeah, it will never be enough. I'm from California. I can tell you that it is never enough. They will tell you that there are dire circumstances. The kids, the infrastructure in the schools is all falling apart. We need this money. If we don't get this money, your kids won't be able to spell. And you give them the money, and the next year they're asking for more money. And
well, I was there yesterday.
There will never be an end.
I was there yesterday in the little back room, the most important meeting of the whole week, and that's the admin meeting. And it was time for the quarterly update from Lisa Shipley from the Veteran Service Office. And she had told, and two levies ago now, that she had told the old darlings over in the retirement home she was doing it during work hours, that if they didn't vote for that levy, they may not have a Veteran Service Office anymore. And that their money might be very difficult to get. Now, these folks are on this fixed income, and they're getting this money, many of them, from veteran services, because of sacrifices for our country. And this, I just find it despicable. I'm going to try not to be too personal about her, but I would have fired her immediately. She did it during office hours. It was a lie. You're not allowed to do it during office hours. She was preying on these old people, and she's there chortling with joy once again about, our outreach program. And Keith Eck even said, well, what is your outreach program? Well, she sits there at a table with other people that are involved with veteran services, and if people walk by, she hands them a brochure. Well, okay. Sorry, but whoop-de-doo, really. I mean, she said, maybe we'll cut back on our doing that in Wolf Creek. Why is that, Lisa? Because we had two people who showed up. This is not outreach, but she knew what to do for outreach to promote a levy. Lie to people. Yeah,
and there wasn't a negative repercussion to her because
she got a raise.
Yeah, they're ideologically aligned with her goal. There was to do that, so that's not shocked at all by that.
Yeah, I guess that's not the news, is it? Okay, go ahead, Mike.
No.
Now you're gonna do what now? And that's the difficulty.
Cheryl, same question. Give you a chance to weigh in on that. Look into your crystal ball and what lies ahead.
I think it's all been said. A couple of weeks ago, I put out a draft letter in regards to House Bill 3453, which is the governor issue. And the reason I put that out there is because it seemed as though the argument had stagnated. It was polarized. No new taxes, never, ever, ever again. And then on the other side is wringing hands, we have a problem. And no one was talking about options or opportunities or what could we do in the meantime.
Nobody was talking about levies or, the citizens voluntarily reaching into their back pocket and sending us more of their own money. I mean, that's what this is about. Listen, it's either taxes or no taxes. Taxes good, no taxes bad. This is how these people think. And unless you're offering them the option that they like, they're not even hearing you. It's going, oh, yes, the citizens have no solutions. They have no ideas of their own.
They're getting this attitude straight from the city council. They're getting it from Dan DeYoung. They're getting it from Darren Fowler, who say, we heard nothing. You heard nothing? It was hours of testimony from the citizens. And we played them side by side. I'm hearing nothing. Here's an idea. I'm hearing nothing. Here's another idea. They don't want law enforcement. I want law enforcement. They don't want law enforcement. I really want law enforcement. They're not hearing us. They're just not hearing us.
Well, the problem is none of those people came up with a solution that included more taxes.
That's correct.
As a matter of fact, basically when it came to the sales tax, they were giving good reasons why you don't do this. They weren't necessarily coming up with other solutions for law enforcement. They weren't coming up with, here's a levy, here's a tax. They weren't coming up with that. The thing is that they already had their idea. They wanted their sales tax. They were married to it. And all they wanted to do was hear people come in and praise them for how wonderful the sales tax was. Since they weren't doing that, they weren't interested in what these people had to say.
And when it was over, it was the president of the council, Dan DeYoung, who said, well, I'm over that. Let's move on to the next subject. It was only a couple of weeks later, and he was over it, buddy. 80% no, and he was definitely over that. I've never heard so many sore winners in my life. He didn't want to talk about it anymore. You think?
Well, you know what was interesting about that? Now, I didn't hear, I'm not privy to what people were saying to him outside of the thing, but he could have just gone in there and not made a big deal about it, but instead he complained about people finding a problem with it. What he should have done was gone, listen, it was a really bad idea. I've been getting a lot of complaints about it. I just want to tell you, I am completely humbled at this point. I'm not going to do anything like that, and I want to tell you that it was a bad idea. But no, they held to this idea that it was a fantastic idea to put that idea before the people. And they would
until he started running for office. Until he started running for office, at which point suddenly he said, he didn't use the word humbled, but he started acting a little humbled about it, but he didn't preclude the possibility he may want to do that again. Right. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no worries. Anyway, here we go.
How do we long-term plan? No one was talking about that. And I could see this polarization in the community. So by putting options out there, I put the menu plan out there, and then I put this out there. It's to get people talking. We need to have people.
Oh, Mike, stop. Mike. To get people talking, she put out options. All the options were, how many levies would you like? Would you like 4 levies? Would you like maybe 3 levies? Well, how about 2 big levies? Well, what about another levy? Well, what about this levy? Well, okay, we want to hear and you tell us what, remember she said something very similar to, and what will the price be? It was all about levies, and we just want to get people talking. You're not talking about our issue at all. Our issue is no, we're not going to do that. Not that we don't want any taxes at all, come on, but that we want no new taxes until we're sure that we know where the money's being spent. These are the same exact people who said, let's keep the spending of the money purposely vague. Not going to give them any money. Go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
Yes, we do have a problem, and we don't have all the answers. We have tried the levies. Doesn't mean levies are dead. There may be other levies in the future, but how do you want that structured? And so
not at all.
I think it has opened the conversation. I've received a lot more emails. I've had a lot.
She's received a lot of emails. This is the funny thing about her. All of the communication that corroborates her way of thinking always comes in the form of an email. It never comes with somebody standing at the podium saying, Cheryl, I really liked your position on this, and here's why, blah, 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 blah. They never ever do that. They always communicate to her in an email. You never ever hear any of these. I've never met somebody who actually liked Cheryl Walker and her plans. It's.
And I've requested through legal counsel Cheryl's emails, because we get to see those. We can, as citizens, we can. And he said that it would cost too much money to go through and weed out the ones they don't want to share. What the heck? What kind of ones that you don't want to share? Don't have ones that you're required to do this. It's state law.
That seems familiar. I think Hillary gave the same argument here.
Same thing with the governor.
Right.
And that's what led to this whole thing with the OGEC changing its mind, deciding to try to partially enforce the law by sending out a letter of education, and people say we're already educated on this subject. We know we're breaking the law and we don't care. And then denying to us that they were found guilty of anything at all. They'll still deny it. Go ahead.
more conversations. It comes up at every meeting. And I think that that stimulated the discussion in a positive way. Unfortunately, some people are trying to spin it in a negative way, but that's okay. People do that.
Trying to spin it in a negative way, Mike?
People organized to put a stop to that. The 3453 thing, the 753 law, her plan. People came out big time against that, and thank God we had some legislators from this area that actually went in and spoke sanity. You haven't heard anything about this 753 letter from her since that Lipsick meeting where they were, and maybe one subsequent meeting after that where they were complaining about the people that didn't like the idea. But since then, you haven't heard anything about it. It's funny, they float these ideas, and then when they become really unpopular, they step back from it, and then they come back from a different angle, just anyway. So,
but I think it's stimulated the conversation. And I think that's all for the good, because we are going to have to come to a solution. And we
have a solution for you.
There have been not supported by various ones, whether it's legislative contingent, whether it's people in the county, whether it's leaders, whether it's the board. It doesn't matter. They have not been supported to the point that any one of them could move forward. But I'd like to redirect the conversation into what we are doing as far as talking about our different departments. Commissioners Heck and Hara both mentioned in regards to what we have done as far as putting these different departments on a basis of paying their own way without general fund money. But on June 1st, we're going to have a new community development and planning director, and this person is going to be charged with implementing the strategic plan that we are working with at the city for economic development, as well as being the central point for any inquiries or people wanting to develop or build in our county. And by having that focus in one direction where a person is in charge of doing that, I think that is going to be very beneficial in regards to developing our small businesses.
Now, Simon Hare had been pushing and pushing and pushing on Cheryl Walker to relinquish sole control over that. And you all may remember, that there were weeks of battles back and forth between those two, where she said, this guy is young enough to be my son, and I'm not going to do this, and I'm not going to do that. Do you remember all that kind of stuff? How hard did Cheryl work to retain control over this thing, which was going absolutely nowhere? And this idea that she's talking about is Simon Hare's idea, and now somehow it sounds like hers. And it's not, because she was getting nowhere. She came up with some kind of plan. I bought the plan. That was a lot of money to buy this stupid plan. And it was simply made up, I say stupid because it was simply made up of photocopies of other people's ideas. And they were all jammed into a folder that was supposed to be some kind, and it was like photocopy of a newspaper article from Poughkeepsie and some other kind of thing from here. And there was no rhyme or reason to it. It was just a bunch of stuff thrown into a file and called a plan. It was not a plan at all, and we're not implementing that plan, are we? We waited for years and years and years. 3 years we waited for Cheryl Walker to come up with a plan, and that's been totally abandoned to hire somebody new with the leadership of the city, which is well known for beautiful planning.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see, what this gal's philosophy is in terms of, economic development and how what does that look like? What's her plan for that? How are you going to make that happen? Because as we know, government can only develop the economy so much. I mean, if there's somebody that they're giving a grant to, that's good for those people that they're giving a grant to and maybe a couple of beneficiaries. But other than that, it's just throwing money out there. People pursuing their own self-interests and their own profit and their own, what's the word that I'm looking for? Ultimately, people create economic development. Governments don't do that, and governments like to take credit for it. If by accident somehow, the economy happens to be on an upswing nationally, and some of the benefit of that flows in here, and people start doing well, then you'll see politicians taking credit for it. But it's nothing that they did.
Well, let us follow through with what the city has said several times about what kind of plans that they would like to do. And there's going to be the tail wagging this dog. And that is they had the study done. And the study said that most of the people that come here now are coming here because they have friends that live here or they have relatives that live here. Let's go visit Aunt Jenny, right? Mm-hmm. And they're not coming here because we have the world's most amazing rivers. We do have amazing rivers, but it's not the world's most amazing river. Oh, we've got trees. There are trees in a variety of places. They're coming here sometimes because they're stopping on the way as they're driving up to Washington or British Columbia or something, and they got to stay somewhere for the night. Well, that's every town in America, practically. Maybe not Bakersfield, but okay. So they're coming here for two main reasons, and there was lots of evidence to that being the case. So would you think that they would say, okay, let's encourage people to come here? When was the last time you saw Aunt Jenny? Or something like that. That matches with the facts. Thank you very much. Well, no. Then they say something like, well, then we're going to do this, and we're going to put lighting, and we're going to do these things, and we're going to put more. Hey, wait a minute. But that's not what attracts people here. Cheryl Walker said, oh, that was just a few hundred. It was 100 people. That was their study. They're not paying attention to their own study because it doesn't match what they want to do. Could you at least follow some of the facts? The study was there. Can you pay attention to the study? No, I don't want to pay attention to the study. It's not giving me the answers that I want. Can you pay attention to the vote? No, I don't want to pay attention to the vote 9 times since 2000 because it's not telling me the answer that I want. Well, that's insanity.
Right.
Play more insanity, please. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I hate being repetitive about this, but throughout the history of humans on this planet, there have been a number of experiments that show us what makes economic development happen. And of course, one of my favorites is Hong Kong, which is was a natural harbor, but nothing else really. It doesn't have any resources. They just unleashed the economic human engine by saying, we are not going to put any great burden on you. As a matter of fact, if you want to get a business license in Hong Kong, you can walk in and do that in 20 minutes or something. I mean, it's an over-the-counter transaction, and which is the reason why probably millions of businesses are based there. And some of these businesses are, maybe no more than on paper or a small office or whatever. When I was in Hong Kong, my hotel was right down the street from a market area. And I remember walking down this one street, and there's these very narrow shops. They were narrow but deep going back in. And one guy's selling, huge pieces of metal. He's, metal boxes and metal cans and any variation of that. And then the next guy is selling some electronic implement. And then, then they're selling some sort of, natural resource grains or whatever. And the next,
but they're selling.
So varied. Yeah.
But it's selling.
Right. All over the world, and, so I just found that to be an amazing thing. And so the basis of that was that there was I think it's like a 15% tax that you pay there. At least it was before China took over. I don't know what they've done since they've come in there. And the rest, it's guys, open season. And they do, big time. because these people are industrious. So the thing is that, we can't do a great deal about economic development here. A commissioner is not going to create economic development. He's just not going to do it. Okay. So you can help in alleviating the burden that is normally put upon somebody trying to do business in a county by lifting some of the restrictions that you in that county would normally put on. He still has the state and the federal to deal with. So you can, even the ability that you have to affect economic development in any way is minuscule. It's like looking at the edge of a razor blade. You've got very little that you can possibly do. You have to wait for conditions to be better, or somebody in Salem or Washington, D.C. to let up on their stupidity.
Well, since you mentioned this thing about China, I said something about China on the Wednesday meeting with the Board of County Commissioners. And there's a little thing that we might end with here. I mention this because it was said at a local meeting. It turns out that Apple just lost a big lawsuit in Chinese court because they have obviously a name of a device, the iPod, iPad and iPhone and everything else. It's got a little I and then capital phone. So they lost a deal in their lawsuit for copyright infringement in China because there was a company there that wanted to make cell phone containers, cell phone, what do you call those? You put the cell phone in it.
Like a case.
Cell phone cases that said iPhone on them. But they weren't made by Apple. Well, the Chinese court ruled that that the iPhone was not a major product.
That's funny.
So
that's funny.
What I'd said on Wednesday was these guys have been lying. They've been cheating. Sound familiar? Every time they get into some kind of contract with somebody like Hummer, they steal the technology, they double cross their partners, and they run off with the product. Okay, and I don't want to get involved with people who are involved with selling America's military technology to those characters. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So.
Interesting thing that you mentioned that the iPhone not being a major product. That is really funny because Samsung, that's the company that makes this phone right here.
Yeah,
they have like 85 or 90% of the cell phone market worldwide. They make 85 or 90% of the cell phones. Okay, but this is a very interesting point. They are not the highest profiteer in this department. Like 90% of all profit on cell phones goes to one company, Apple, for the iPhone. And that is because though they have a minority share, they have done things so wisely and they're so sought after, especially in the American market, that they are able to glean 90-something% of the profit out of the cell phone market, even though that they are not the major producer of cell phones in the world. That's amazing to me. Well, so the iPhone is very definitely a major product. It means billions every year for Apple.
Not to the cheating Chinese. Okay. We're in an economic war with them. Make no mistake about that. And they're looking to break into our infrastructure every single day of the year. We're just looking forward to informing you every single day of the year. And we will continue doing so no matter what happens all the way through May 17. You probably already voted, but that's the last day to vote. And that's coming up here. Let's see, what kind of day is this? This is the 6th. So there's 11 more days left to this. And then civilization will continue.
Maybe.
That's the theory. Thank you, everybody. Now I'm confronted with a variety of buttons to push. Hopefully, I'm saying goodnight to you by pressing the correct button. Here we go.